So let's bring in a guy now who knows a lot about the economy. His name is Lou Dobbs. You may have heard of Lou Dobbs. He is the host of the Great America Show with Lou Dobbs. If he's the host, that would make sense. And he joins us now.
Right now, we're in a place we've never been before. We have, as you say, double-digit inflation, even though the CPI puts it at 8.3, 8.5. And a president who says it's zero because it doesn't move 1 month, June to July. It's preposterous. We have a man we have to pretend is able, not impaired, in the White House, who reminds us daily of just how impaired he is and how dire the situation is when he doesn't even understand the impact or the consequences, or doesn't care about the impact or the consequences of his economic policy. The lavish spending is an understatement that this president has undertaken. We will be paying for this for a very long time. Many people don't know, Bill, $31 trillion in national debt, trillions of dollars more than the size of the GDP itself. That hasn't happened since World War II.
So killing the legends, you know what my big challenge is here is to try to convince people it's a history book. I mean, they think that all of a sudden you and I are working for People magazine. And I go, gee, these are three icons that we tell you about influenced American history the way we live now. What are people saying to you about
it? They're surprised we're venturing into pop culture. And I tell people it's about time. I think I mentioned Michael Jackson or Diana to you about 7 years ago, and you said, no, we're not going to do pop culture, but if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And that's what this is about. It's three great tragic legends. It's, in the research, from a historical point of view, is just the same deep dive we do with all of our books, is just completely focused on getting all the facts straight, telling the story, and revealing history in a way that people have never read it before.
So let's bring in a guy who probably knows Congress better than any human being on the planet. Senator Joseph Lieberman obviously served in Connecticut. And how long were you in the Senate? I should have it here on my sheet, but I do not. How long?
Hi, Bill. 24 years. Okay.
Shouldn't there be federal oversight, marshals or somebody sent into these districts who will not count the vote?
Well, there ought to be something. I mean, every time I see it in the papers or on TV, I'm shocked that they're still counting votes. I guess it's because they're paper ballots in California. And Alaska, I know they have this, as you said, arcane ranked voting system, which is complicated. But I mean, this is the 21st century. It just doesn't make sense that it takes 2 weeks. You could, I'm not sure what you can do, but it's worth thinking about, because there definitely are different ways in which the federal government, through legislation, has entered the area of state elections, particularly for Congress. After all, it's the national legislature, and could set some standards about what you do when you get to this point.
So Rivera relentlessly promoted this. 30 million people, as I said, showed up to watch it, and it was live April 21st, 1986, so it wasn't exactly 35 years ago, but close. 2-hour broadcast, and they opened the vault and nothing was in it, Rivera. I still don't have those 2 hours back.
It's 36 years, and it was not empty. There was a Gilbey's gin bottle in there. There was a stop sign and some other trash from the era.
So put yourself
it was very
back
embarrassing to me. You know what was really in there? The biggest ratings of all time. And I was unemployed at the time. So the day after it aired, the ratings came out. I was ridiculed from coast to coast. Actually, it was in 16 different countries live. I was ridiculed. I was embarrassed. I opened up, the room service waiter came up and he handed me 22 messages, written messages, all job offers.
But right now, there's a blacklist in Hollywood. I'm on it. I mean, I had 5, I was the executive producer of 5 successful films. We have great properties, a tremendous Killing the Mob. You couldn't get a better cinematic property than that. We can't do business in Hollywood. So you have always been conservative, but you've worked. I mean, you're a good actor. And now getting behind this Hunter movie. Are you afraid you'll never get any work in Hollywood again?
Absolutely. And there's been a blacklist. To say that there hasn't. And the hypocrisy of Hollywood, Bill, is that they've done more movies about the Joe McCarthy era when traitors were coming into our nation, as proven by Daniel Patrick Moynihan, a Democratic senator, when he made the Venona Project public. And meanwhile, they're doing the very thing they condemned to patriots and people that think differently. I want to lead a movement in terms of diversity of thought. You can have transsexuals, black, Hispanics, everything. They say, okay, we want to go this way, we have to put more people there, but not diversity of thought. And Screen Actors Guild should be held accountable for that, my union, and Hollywood should be held accountable. People like Norman Lear, who is an elder statesman, should say, you know what, this is wrong. We shouldn't demonize people that think differently. And it happens, I know it happens, you know it happens.
Everybody knows
and something needs to be done.